Okay, let's try to start this live studio. Sorry, looks like I just realized this today. This internet provider is quite unstable, especially during the day. In evening it is better. So I'm trying to go live, but if I will not succeed, I will try to resume this video, this live stream in the evening. Looks like at 9 o'clock p.m. the quality of the network is better. And at the moment, if anyone can see me and can hear me, please let me know in the chat. I will be much appreciated. Because so far the stream is okay for me, but I don't know whether you can hear me or you can see me without lags and so on. I have just tried for 10 minutes to establish a stable connection, but it looks like I still have some problems. So please let me know how is the quality of the streaming you have at your site, if anyone can see. Thank you, thank you. But I will go live till the moment I can. Till the moment I can. If it will be disconnection, because it looks like my network has some unstable working, I will try to go live in. Looks like I was disconnected, yes, and now I am online, okay? Again, so as you can see, I have some lags. If it will proceed, I will unfortunately have to move this live stream for another time. I'm really sorry. It is the whole model. Okay, I see you messages, and if this wax will continue, I will postpone this leave. So let me at least give you some aerial view of our model, how it looks like. So I'm going around the city, and in fact this model is a big working place at the moment. It is not the it is very heterogenic. Some objects of this model are 100% ready, and you have already had the opportunity to see them on previous videos. But some of the objects are just at the beginning of their progress and need to be redone. But in any case, I would like you to see the current state of the model without any refining in order to see how big amount of work has been done already, and how big amount of work still needs to be done. And it lasts for years, and I think it will take more years to complete. At the moment, I think we have done about 30 or 40% of the whole city. Okay, looks like currently I have the connection. I'm Looks like during these minutes I have been disconnected for 3 times, but I hope I still have some followers in this video, and I will proceed as much as I can. I see the questions for which period of time it is model based. Basically, it is the beginning, the first half of the 4th century. So it is the time of Emperor Constantine the Great, of his sons, till the time of the Julian Apostate. I think it is that short time that the main amount of famous Roman buildings have already been built, but the destruction of the ancient city hardly had begun. So we can see almost everything which consists the Roman glory, the glory of the ancient Rome, as we know it, as we used for it. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. So, when I have started my project 1 year ago, it was about 12 years ago, I had a dream that one day I will be able to walk from the one edge of city, from the one part of it to the another, with the whole center of the city within the 3D model indeed. And I always dreamt about the road from the bath of Caracalla towards the Campus Martius, towards the Pantheon. And now hardly this dream can come true, and I can try to make this road. So here at the first plane you can see the bath of Caracalla, which is almost 100% is ready from the outside. I'm saying about the beginning, about the main building. The portico is not really completed. In fact, this model is also not the same. The main building is much more completed. It is recently has been updated, but the portico is a relatively old edition, about 7-8 years old. So let's try to walk around. I will try to do it. I will just go down here. Thank you. No, it was earlier than Rome left Britain, because, as we know, the Rome has left Britain at the beginning of the 5th century. I hope I am showing the Rome at the period of about 100 years earlier, this period. Thank you. I see a good feedback for my bath of Caracalla. Yes, thank you. It is one of my models which I'm proud of most of all. But I acknowledge that I can confirm that it is far from completion. It is far from that perfect state which I want to reach. Okay, let's. In fact, I cannot use now the working the mode for this simulator, because it will be very it would be very much better than you have for now. And I will just emulate it. I will use fly mode, and I will try to observe the models at the our human eyes height. So it is the south side of Bath of Caracalla. You can see the big round dome, a big round building. It is the so-called Caldarium Hot Bus. it is almost vanished now. Just two big posts are now standing. And let's try to go around. I will go there. So any great Roman bath complex was some kind of big entertainment and health center, which consisted of main bath building surrounded by parks and surrounded by infrastructure which had libraries, which had some rooms for gathering, for sport entertainment, and so on, as well as some shops, tabernas, offices, and many more, because there it was very important for Roman people, because they usually spent very much time in their baths. In fact, they lived in the bath, they met their friends, their lovers, and so on. I see people are asking about VR. Yes, VR is in progress. We are doing it in game engine. I have already tested some parts of our model in the game engine. I have to remind, this is not game engine. This is something between. This is some. It is just a video render software. But in the game engine, I hope I will can show the first edition of it relatively soon, maybe 1 to 3 months. I have already tested it with Imperial forums, with Forum of Vespasian, with Forum of Augustus, and I hope I will release some preview for it soon. The working with VR, it is very hard work, of course, because we have to optimize this model. This the model of the home room here, it is not really optimized. You can see, it goes not very fast. They have some lags and so on. I also see the question about the temple Serapis at the Piazza Colonna. I guess I will show you the current state of this temple in this model. It is here. It is really in progress, and I will show the progress for this temple as well. Thank you for your good feedback for our work, but I will try to maybe go faster here. Now I have reached the point where they're entering for the museum complex of the Bath of Caracalla is now. I think it is something like here. We have here the entering, and here is the Bath of Caracalla. This is really modest facade, which is in very big contrasts with the lavishly decorated interiors, surrounded with the portico. Okay, if I will now try to go towards the center of the city, I will not enter the Bath of Caracalla. I will do it on your requests if you want to, and if we will have a stable connection. I hope. Now I will try to exit from Bath of Caracalla. You can see some lags. It is not network wax, it is really wax of this model, because it is not very optimized for now. No, it is not the temple of Serapis, as I have said, it is the bus of Caracalla. I'm seeing. I will show you the temple of Serapis when we will reach that part of the city. Okay, now I will have to go from the bath of Caracalla. Here it is quite unfinished part of work as well. You can see something behind it. Maybe somebody of you remember that I have shown this portico, this really detailed portico in the videos, but behind of it we still have unfinished parts of work, some weird texture, some really old and bad quality. So you can see unfinished part of work here, and even some holes, some ropes, and so on. Yes, the usual question, where are the Romans? I understand, but it is, if I would add Romans, I think this program would have been dead at once. And don't worry, I will add some people, some Romans, some characters in the game engine, of course. So let's go to the end of the portico. I thought I just had lost myself a little, because I thought that I have the entrance from the bath from this side, but I haven't added it yet in this edition. In fact, it should be there, and I will use some another way. You can see this. It is really old stairs from the first edition of this model, about 10 years ago. I have never shown it on videos. Some stairs. Let's go downstairs here. Rather weird. Okay. You can see how awful it is. And you can see here the bottom side. Let me not to go downstairs more. I will just jump here, some kind of jump, and I will proceed there. Let's fly a little here, and now we will live in the bath of Caracalla. Thank you, man, that you are saying that it is okay for showing unfinished models. I think it will I hope you will appreciate it, because I would like you to show it as is. So it is quite a big amount of objects which are unfinished, which are not up to date. For example, you can see here the portico, the main facade of Bath of Caracalla we have already left, and some users can notice that the pilasters and columns are absent here. I haven't still added it. You can see some problems with textures here. So there are a lot of work which has been done. So it is there. We have now on the street, and this street is known as Via Apianova. So it was a street which has been built in a parallel route with the Haute Via Appia. The Haute Via Appia goes something there. If you can see, if you can follow my mouse here. And actually this part also has been populated with buildings, but they have not been added. There were some likes of domuses here and tabernas. Somebody is asking me about the eastern side of Palatine Hill. If you can follow my mouse, you can see here the eastern side of Palatine. Please let me know, do you really see the mouse cursor? It will be better for me to know that you can follow it. And I will now go towards the center of the city using via Apianova. Thank you. So you can see the mouse, okay. Thank you, thank you. So just imagine that it was not the street with the free right side, and it has been built up with the building. It was just a narrow street. So here, so far we haven't a good imagine how it should look like. Okay, I will just accelerate the speed a little. In fact, there were tabernas and shop within this portico at the front of Bath of Caracalla. So it was a really multifunctional complex. There were a lot of offices, shops, some not kind of restaurants, some tabernas where people could eat and buy something. Okay, it is some place there via Apianova transforms to some kind of square, and we know it from the famous part of the so-called Forma Urbis, the marble plan of the Rome, of the ancient city. I think somebody of you really can know about this, that there was a marble plan of the city, and about 15% of it still survive, and sometimes we can recognize at the parts of this marble plan some important places of the city, and there we can see this really interesting part of the city. Okay, so in fact now we are approaching the center of Rome using via Apianova from the side which is from the south and eastern side of Rome, the side from which the relative big part of people could visit Rome for the first time. Yes, there will be the interiors of Palatine, but now it is in progress. It is really, of course, the big part of work, and I hope this year, if everything will be as okay as it could be, I will show the Palatine complex, the Domus Flavia, at least with the some most important interiors, for example, Aula Regia and Triclinium, and maybe some courtyards as well. So it was there. I'm returning to the object. This square of the Via Apianova was populated with domuses and insula, and something there were so-called mutatorium Caesaris. There was some infrastructure where the imperial emperors could, when they arrived, there were some infrastructure for changing chariots, for changing carriage, and so on. People are asking, do you have any projects for other ancient cities, or is Rome our main focus? Yes, the Rome is our main project. It will be our main project as soon as we can work with it. I think the whole life is insufficient to finish the 3D reconstruction as soon as I can, as I want to see it by my eyes. But in the same time, we had during these years we had several projects on demand related with ancient Greece, sites, and from time to time I will use these models for video producing, and I will show some interesting parts of ancient Greece as well. But it will be always some kind of the secondary projects for me, and the first of all will be Rome always. I won't abandon this project in any case. Let's step forward. Yes, I see the question about the Constantinople recreation. I see this question very often in the comments under my videos, under my posts. In fact, the Constantinople is of course the greatest city, the great project, and it is I would need another wife for recreating such a great city, and I think I won't succeed if I would work on this both city in simultaneously. And fortunately there is a good project. No, it is not true that no 3D model of Constantinople exists. It exists. There is a big project named Byzantine 1200, and you can find it via internet, via YouTube. But as far as I know, they haven't any 3D walkthrough for it. They just produce videos and some images, but they are of very good quality. I hope this project will proceed. As I know, it is frozen for a certain degree during the recent years. I haven't seen any updates for it, but I hope this project will be resumed. But in any case, you can find the materials of this project. They are amazing. They have done the whole city, and there are lots of interesting pictures and interesting videos for it. The center of the Constantinople has been recreated there in very good detail, and if they proceed with it, if they would create the game engine, the VR for it, I really see no point for me to repeat this amazing work, because I'm working with Rome, honestly, because I don't see any other good project dedicated to Rome which would suit me 100%. There are several good projects about Rome, but as for me, they are not quite okay. And I just want to do my edition as I want to see it I just want to see the Rome by my eyes, as accurate as I can do it, as accurate as we can know it from the sources, from the archaeological data, from the narrative data we can find. Okay, now we can see we are going under one of big aqueducts. It is also not a completed model. You can see the rather raw textures here. It is aqueduct which supplied the Palatine hill, and here we can see the Porta Capena. It was the gate of Rome from the famous old walls of Servian walls built by legend by Servius Tullius. Okay, now we are approaching the Circus Maximus at least. Please let me know, did you have some lags or some pauses of the stream? Looks like for recent 10 minutes everything goes okay, I hope. Oh, I have pushed shift too much times. Somebody tells me Altair, due to good recreation of Rome, it is quite old now. Yes, if you... Altair was a great project, and it was one of the examples for me 10 years ago, and I really follow it, but looks like they haven't any significant updates for during the recent years. I see some new videos, but looks like they repeating some old models which were really good 10 years ago, and some of them are really good even now, but not ever. Okay, thank you. I suppose you are saying that the stream is going well. Okay. So we are facing the Circus Maximus. It is also the old model. Soon this year I hope to replace it with a completely new one. So you can see where plenty of old model, of unfinished model, but I hope it gives you some imagine of the city. Also, you can see plenty of examples that the 3D models are flying, are levitating. These roads also is levitating, but the roaches of the road are quite accurate for now. I'm creating it according to the most detailed plans of the ancient city up to date. Before going to the Circus Maximus, let's go a little bit there. And you can see the famous Septisodium. It was a big nymphaeum, a big fountain complex, a big colonnade, which faced the visitors arriving from the Via Appia, the old Via Appia. Let's go to the Via Appia. This is the Via Appia. This is the Porta Capena, which was inbuilt in the aqueductum. And here is this Septisodium, also not correct model. For now the columns were another. There were statues and fountains, but it is the core of it can give you the imagine about the dimensions of this building. So it was some kind of facade which made the people arriving to the Rome via using Via Appia or Via Latina, and this facade hides their warehouses and some buildings, some not very beautiful buildings of the Palatine Hill. So they're making just a good facade. Now I'm looking at the site where the Arcus of Constantine and Colosseum and the Colossus has been well, and we even can see the Colossus, but we will go there a little bit later. Let's return to Circus Maximus. Yes, the period is around 3020 AD, yes. 320 AD, sorry. Yes, our main goal is there to recreate the ancient Rome in actual site. Yes, we are working in this indeed, and using this Thank you. Okay. There is a model by Tao. Yes, there is a model about Tao Gismondi, and it is for now it is a little bit outdated because a lot of new archaeological data and investigation has been appeared during the last years, during the last about 50 years, because the Gismondi model has been finished at about 1917s. But in any case, in that places where it is still actual, it is really good one. I'm really I'm adoring this model, I love this model, and we are using it as the inspiration for the some parts of Rome which has no data, which are blank ones, which are enigmas, and we can use this famous Tao Gismondi model to pay a little kind of tribute to this amazing project. Of course, it is still an object of adornment for anyone who loves the Rome, who loves this the history of this great city. So now we are at the Circus Maximus. We can see the famous Spina, and now you can see that I have put already 2 obelisks here. So if sometimes somebody can know, it means that it is something about the second part of the 4th century, since the second obelisk has been erected by the Constantius II, by the son of Constantius the Great, Constantine the Great. To the right, we can see the forms of the buildings of the Palatine Complex, which has been built, that have been added by Septimus Severus and largely rebuilt and increased by Maxentius. In fact, it is also the old edition according with Gismondi, and soon it will be replaced. I hope I will soon reach some parts of my model which are really new, because I often repeat you that it is old, it is outdated, but soon I hope I will show you something new. Okay, for example, the Spina is also the old one. In here I have to pay tribute to my team, because as a leader of the project I'm doing a big amount of work in 3D modeling itself, but not the whole amount, and some certain parts of Rome have been modeled, have been built by my colleagues, by my friends, which are amazing. And at this moment I want to pay tribute to the man with whom I started this project many years ago. In fact, he was some kind of inspiration for me, because he started some models just for fun, and I followed him and we supported each other. He is Lashat Hondia, he is from Georgia, and actually some old parts of Rome are in to a certain degree and some parts are 100% built by him. For example, this Circus Maximus is his model. It is old, but at that time 10 years ago, it was really great model. It has been built according to Gismondi project, and here during this year I just replace it and improved some textures, some materials, replace it columns, capitals, edit my sculptures and so on. But the core of model remains to this my friend, to this my colleague Roshat Honda. It was for me just some kind of man who could inspire me to create and to work with this project. Okay, let's go. Let's step forward. You can see the Circus Maximus was really a big one, and looks like it could host something about 250,000 people, which consists something about the a quarter or 1/5 part of the population of the ancient Rome itself. Thank you for your feedback. Here you can see the famous dolphins, which mentioned the rounds which should be done by chariots. And this is so-called meta, which mentioned the edges of the spina, which should be rounded by chariots. Okay. Okay, let's go to the exit of the circus. And we are going towards the part of the city which is one of those which were recently modeled. Here, unfortunately, you also can see some difference in levels, and it will be fixed soon. And here we can leave the Circus Maximus and go towards the so-called Forum Boarium, the Bull Forum. Okay. Yes, it is a pity we can see the chariots, but I'm pretty sure we will realize it when we will do it in the game engine. In fact, I'm planning to go from the simple to most complex. At first, I just want to recreate the Rome, at least the center of Rome, in a good quality. As you can see, we are relatively far from this. Some parts are okay, some parts are not. We have lots of work with the 3D model itself. And then we will gradually add some animation, some people, some chariots, some entertainments, and maybe one day we will able to recreate some famous event of ancient Rome, for example, some attempt to create the game, for example, to prevent the assassination of Caesar, or to participate in the civil war between Sulla and Marius, and so on and so on. And I think it would be amazing. But I think we still have a lot of work. Now we are approaching the Forum Boarium. No, it is not a game Life of Rome, it is completely another project. The game Life of Rome was a project, if I'm not mistaken, of my colleague Matthew Nichols, but it is another model of Rome. We are following each other on Facebook, we are friends, but each of us has his own projects. Okay. And now we can see the Forum Boarium. And now I will say you about some of these objects. Sorry, I am reading the feedback on chat, so sometimes I can stop. Yes. Yes, it is the Constantine era, and we really will have to add some churches, but at the first part of the fourth century, there were really a small amount of them. And by the way, the first one was near this Forum Barium. It was at the slope of the Palatine Hill. It was so-called Tito's Anastasia. I see the message. The game needed to work, but the developer abandoned the project. I think you mean the Life of Rome. Yes, looked like they have abandoned this about 3 years ago. I have seen this on Steam. They had some account there, but then they abandoned it. You're asking, can you give us a link to the project? Which projects do you mean? Okay, so this is the Forum Barium. Here we see the Temple of Hercules. Now it is identified as Hercules Victorus. It is still survives. You can see it at Rome. Maybe without this entablature, but the columns are still standing. Here you can see the Temple of Portunus, which is still survives, and many till the recent time it has been identified as Fortuna Virilis, and only recently it had been re-identified as the Temple of Portunus, the god of ports, of the doors, and so on. These temples has been survived due to their conversion to churches at the early medieval time. That you show us in the moment. The link to the project will appear as the standalone application based on game engine, which will appear. The first edition of this, I hope, will appear this year, because this one which I showing to you, it is not the game engine, it is not the application in there. That mean in that quality. So it is not the application which I can share as a standalone. Here is also the Temple of Hercules, so-called Emiliana Hercules. It stood maybe till the Renaissance time, and then it has been disappeared. We have even some images of it. And this is famous Ara Maxima, which has been rebuilt in the late ancient time, because these arches are the mention of the late ancient time, about 4th century AD. Now here the church of Santa Maria Cosmetin is located, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Will you add the status of the bull of the Forum Barium? And yes, it will be added. As you can see, this Forum Barium is one of the parts of our model which has been added recently, about 3 or 4 months ago, and lots of some detailing, some kind of shrines, outer statues should be added here as well. Okay, yes, sure. I'm aware of this, that this work is far from completion at the moment. Okay, I hope here on the perspective you can see the arch, so-called Arch of Janus, but in fact it wasn't Arch of Janus, it was some kind of arch which mentioned the crossing of the roads, and looks like it has been built at the late ancient time during of Constantine the Great, or even the even under his son. Oops, here you can see the levitating building as well. Okay. I have mentioned one member of our team, Washatshonda, and now I have to mention another member of our team, because I have reached the object which has been built by him. He is Sergey Bharjev, and he has joined our project about 5 years ago, and he improved our project a lot, because his models are always an example of very accurate and good qualified models. This arch of so-called Arch of Janus was the first model he has added to our project, and it is still amazing. It is one of the best ones, I think, in our project. Yes, it still should be improved, but it refers to almost any building in our project. Can you show us the Colosseum or Largo Maxima? Yes, I will show the Colosseum, but Largo Maxima, I will show you the place where Largo Maxima joins the river, the Tiber. It has been added recently, but in future maybe I will make the Largo in underground, and we will be able to pass through it. And this is so-called Arch of Argentina, which is also still standing, and it is inbuilt in the church adjoining it, and it has been built by at the time of Emperor Septimus Severus, and has been dedicated to him and to his family. And it was the first example of our model which we tried to recreate in a full color. Oh, I love such questions. Can we support these projects? Yes, okay. Yes, sure, you can support this project. There is the two ways. The first way, you can simply watch our YouTube videos. You can share YouTube videos. So it will help us a lot to promote the project. And the second one, you can support us on Patreon, and to donate something, even $1 or $2 is okay. And if we will receive some donations, we will be able to concentrate on Rome project 100% and to proceed working with it. Okay, let's step forward to the side of, we're approaching the Capitolium Hill. Will there be a show of the Trajan Market? The Trajan Market is, yes, it is in this model, but we will see we will reach it, and actually, I don't know which condition of this model in this very version, but we will see, no problem. Can you give us the link to Patreon? Usually I'm leaving the link to the Patreon under our videos on YouTube. I'm leaving all the links to Facebook, to Instagram, to Patreon, and of course you will be able to find the links under this video in the description, of course. But simply you just type history in 3D in Google, and I think you will find almost any information related with our project. Sorry if I have missed some questions. I am constantly exploring. Honestly, I haven't expected such amount of followers, such amount of questions. It is very good for me. It is okay. Thank you. Actually, it is my first live on YouTube. And here you can see the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus at the top of the Capitolium Hill. It was richly decorated. In fact, it has been rebuilt several times, and perhaps the last big rebuilding was under Emperor Domitian at the end of the 1st century. Unfortunately, we haven't enough data how it looked like. We have some not very reliable data, but very little remains on it, so we can recreate it using some comparison, using the data of some similar temples. And yes, indeed, it is also one of the outdated models, and I think we will do the next edition for it soon. Here you can, unfortunately, you can also see some levitating buildings. And now I am moving to the so-called Forum Holytodium. It was the forum which has been between the Capitolium Hill and the Tiber River. Actually, it was some forum where the vegetables has been sold and so on. What engine this is planning to run on? I think it will be either Unreal or Unity engine. We are testing both ones. So as you can, I hope you at least have the imagine how the streets of ancient Rome looked like. It was some kinds of narrow streets which I guess similar to some streets of the cities, modern cities of Mediterranean, which we all love, which we all adore, where we all love to spend our time. Now we're approaching that forum which I have spoken about. Here we can see a part of the old Servian wall with the gates. And now we're approaching the so-called Porticus Triumphi, and here there are some parts of which we can still which can be still visible in this part of Rome. These arches and columns. And now we are entering the Forum Holytodium, the vegetables forum. Make it available for a fee, for example. Yes, once our application would be ready, I hope I will do it a mobile edition for it as well. And of course it will appear on any platform which can be suitable for it, and the Steam is one of them, of course. And this is this forum Holytodium. To the right you can see the Porticus Triumphi. To the left the three temples of Unona, of Janus, and of Spey. Here the hope. The Spey is the hope in waiting. In fact, they are temples from the beginning of from the Republican age. Here you can see the perspective of the street, and there you can see the Ara Maxima, where we have been recently. I like you love this part of Rome. Actually, it is one of the up-to-date models in our project. Okay, and this is, as you can guess, maybe it is the theater of Marcellus, which partially still stands here, still survives, at least two levels of it. It uses this architecture is similar to the Colosseum, you know, these arches with columns, this superposition of Roman orders, Doric order, Ionian, and Corinthian order. I don't know, do you want to enter to this model? It is also not finished, but the core of it is ready. Or we can now go to the... Aha, I see somebody is asking to go inside. Let's go inside, no problem. Just be ready that it is not finished one. There are some holes, ropes, and so on. Here the pavement is missing, but let's go. Just imagine it is here, and let's go to the scene. We can see the scanner fronts. Yes, it is. The texturing is need to be improved, but the main part of model is correct, is ready now, and this is scanner fronts. I think we will add some more color marbles here. We have to improve the veneering of it to add some colored slabs. And here the pavement using the color marbles should be as well. Now it's missing. Now we have seen the little bit tiling of the textures on the steps. Let's now give a little bit fly, and you can see that steps are here. Okay. Now just let me go down. Okay. You're asking, would be acoustics there is heard at the upper rows? Yes, I believe yes, because I had my own experience in the Greece, in the Epidaurus theater. Yes, it is not artificial, it has been built at the natural slope, but nevertheless I has been at the top of that theater, and I could perfectly hear what is going downstairs at the scene. I remember some girl was singing some song, and it was magnificent. I could hear any word. I think there are I have some followers who either was there and could had such similar imagination. You can see the gilded roof of the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus behind the theater, sorry. Okay, let's go to the other side, and this is the edge of our model from this side, and this is looks like the empty area. Okay, it is the Circus of Flaminius, so-called Circus of Flaminius, should be here, but it is still not populated with buildings. In fact, it was not the circus as Circus Maximus, it was some kind of square at the end of ancient times. Okay, so it is the theater of Marcellus from the west side. Here we can see the portico of Octavia. Here we can see Portico Philippi with the temple of Hercules Musarum. And behind it, behind the Portico Octavia, we can see two temples, one by another. The temple of Apollo Susiana, and behind it the temple of Bellona, and above them again the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus. Where were the theater with the temple in it? It is the theater of Pompeii. I think I will show it either. Wow, the stream is going about 1 hour. Okay, let's go to towards the Campus Martius as I promised. Well, I have another question. I realize that my English is quite bad. I have lack of practice in pronunciation. Tell me please, can you in general recognize what I'm speaking? It is very hard. It is hard for you, not hard. It is. Please be honest. I'm not fear the critics here. I understand. I can, in fact, I can read almost everything in English, but I rarely use it for speaking, and so you can see that I have some, for example, have some pauses. I have to pause to find the words in my head and so on. Oh, sorry. As you can see, I have returned to the Forum Holytodium in order to show you the temples of Apollo Susiano and Temple of Bellona. Thank you. I'm glad you can understand me. Thank you. Here it is shaded now, and I will try to change the position of sun. In fact, the sun is moving in an accurate way, as it should be in Rome, so I can simulate the morning, simulate the day, the afternoon, and the evening. Let's do it. Something like this, in order you to do something better, to have a somewhat better vision of this temple. Yes, I have an accent. It is, in fact, the Russian-Ukrainian accent. Thank you. So these are these famous temples. The left temple is Apollo Susiana temple, which has been built under the reign of Augustus, and this temple was really some unusual ways. There were some kind of experiments there. The columns were unusual, the capitals were of unique design, and the entablature was in that way, which will be not usual. It was before the time that the Corinthian order has been established, had been settled. So it was some time when the ancient architects was at the kind of some search of their own style, of their own design. Let's do a little fly and approach this entablature. So you can see these capitals are not very usual, and the entablature as well is not usual for Corinthian entablature, which the architects used to know. Fortunately, 3 of columns of this temple are standing now. They had been founded under the excavations before the World War II and had been re-erected with the part of entablature. And now you can see them next to the theater of Marcellus. Okay. So, and this is the famous temple of Bellona. Unfortunately, we don't have many data to recreate it, but apparently it was standard Heka style, Gecko style. It means it had 6 columns in front, and looks like it was that temple where Romans are declared wars. There were, I think, somewhat here. There were a place of the so-called enemy ground, or the not ground belonging to the Rome territory, where they thrown the spear to declare the war. I think in future we will recreate this place in order to show it in a proper way. Yes, thank you that you appreciate in putting color on buildings, but as you can see, it is also the work in progress, since the Temple of Barona should had colors as well. So we have already covered some buildings. Some buildings aren't covered so far. Some colors should be changed, and so on and so on. But I have to notice that from the other side, Rome was not covered totally on bright colors. The marble parts of Rome has been covered not in bright. It was some kind of style. It was relatively quiet colors, and it was in order to have the imagination of it, you can just explore the Pompeian frescoes. You can see the color in there, which there are examples of building on that Pompeian frescoes, and you can see some kind of style, how Romans used colors. And the buildings which were made of brick and then plastered, of course, they could have some brighter colors, for example, red colors and yellow colors, but also not totally, because coloring was not the cheap matter. It was relatively expensive, and in fact it was not coloring from top to the roof. I will now try to go towards the west side of Capitolium. Unfortunately, in this part I haven't added roads, and some buildings of there are in chaotic way. Sorry for that. If you want, I will just fly here in order to give another kind of imagination. As you can see, the road should be there, but I haven't added it here. In fact, in the late ancient time, this slope of the Capitolian hill has been filled with insulas and domuses, and one of them, the Ara Coeli, is quite famous now. It was one of the multi-storied buildings of Rome. It had at least 5 or even 6 levels. Okay, I will fly over this part of Capitolium. Very roughly, here we have these famous stairs to the top of the Capitolium and to the church. Oh, I have forgot this name of the church, which is situated at the site of Issus Capitolinus at the moment. It is, I think it is the same name of the Church of Maria Aracoeli, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not very good, I don't know very well the old name of the modern Church of Rome so far, unfortunately. And now if we will go here, Aracoeli, thank you. So it is what just kind of messing up. So the Insula Aracoeli is the same name for the church there. If I'm not mistaken, it's translated something about the Maria on heaven, and something like that. Here we have reached the road which is goes from this side, which goes to the Forum Romanum, Arcoeli, thank you, Santa Maria and Arcoeli Church, thank you. And here we can see the sides, the walls of the Forum of Trajan, the Basilica Ulpia, and even the top of column of Trajan with the statue, and the temple of Trajan, which I have added to my reconstruction, but it is still a subject of discussions whether it actually existed as a temple or just a sacred area or not. Currently, I'm enjoying the vision that this temple is indeed existed, but it is still the open question. It is one of the most difficult questions of the ancient Rome topography. Here, as you can see, something is messed up. Looks like I have added some taberna, and they are overriding the road. And this is the example of some problems which has been resolved here. But now I'm trying to go down this street and to enter the Via Lata. It is one of the most famous streets of ancient Rome, and now you can know these streets as the street of as Via Corso. In generally, it repeats the road of the ancient street. This stream will be posted later. I hope it will. Yes, it is honestly my first experience, and as I know, the stream will be saved as a video after I will end this stream. It is already 1.5 hours going. I hope it wasn't in vain. Okay, so here you even can see the overriding with the material, with grass. It is actually a mistake, but you can realize how some parts of Rome should look like at the early medieval age that the ancient building has been already had still survived, but the destruction and the devastation of his city has begun. Okay, now I will try to go towards Via Lata to the north, and then I will try to go to the left side to reach the Pantheon. Let's go back, and now we can see the perspective of Capitolian Hill with the temple of Juno Moneta, with the temple of Visus Capitolinus, and other famous temple of this north side of the Capitolian Hill. Okay, let's step forward. Do not forget to show us Aurora Regia before the end, as I have to repeat that Aurora Regia will be in the next editions, and in this model, actually, if it is present, it is the old edition, but nevertheless I can check, we can reach there, and we can see what we have for now. But in any case, it will be, if it is in this model, it would be in any case the old edition. But we can check, no problem. Here the Via Lata should be fixed. You can see a little bit shifting that the buildings from the right side are overriding the street, the pavement. And there you can see the famous temple of Serapis you have asked me at the slope of the Quirinal hill. It is the backside of that enormous temple. There is also discussion about this, whether it was only the temple of Serapis or it has been also dedicated to Dionysus and Hercules at some time. It is very interesting discussion over there. So the fate of that temple is not very clear for now, not very transparent. Actually, we don't have enough data for almost any Roman building about the story of it in ancient times. Sorry. You're asking about the pyramids before the Piazza del Popolo. Yes, there were, and looks like there were some kinds of graves. One of them is probably was the grave of Marcus Agrippa, but it is not certain. It is just a kind of proposition. And the second one is also was a grave. Maybe it was a grave of Marcus Aurelius Messala, but it is also not clear, of course, for the moment. Okay, let's now go a step forward. I'm just checking the questions again. I will now go forward. So we have approached one of the arches here. In fact, it is not the relevant building for now. It is just kind of average arch, just to fill in. There were the so-called Arcus Novus, or the new arch, probably built by Diocletian here, and we have a little data for it, and we will still have to investigate some information to build a relevant and proper arch here. Okay, let's step forward. Now you can see the perspective of the Capitolian Hill there. Okay, let's move to the next arch. It is also not finished in detail, but the dimensions and core of it is correct. It is so-called the Arch of Claudius, which was a part of the aqueductum, which was part of Aqua Virga. And this aqueduct of Virgin, the famous aqueduct which still supplies the Fontan Trevi and so on, and other parts of city. And the aqueductum has been built earlier, and later Claudius transformed one of arch of it to the triumphal arch, and we reached it now. So it is just an object without further detailing, without so far. Sure, it should look rather quite much better. Now we have reached the place where the temple of divine Hadrianus has been built, and the site of this temple you can is still visible. At the moment, this temple is not finished for now. And before it there was some kind of arch, of triumphal arch, and very little data about it still survives. Here you can see where the Arcus of Marcus Aurelius should stand, but I have to say you that it is just kind of fiction now, because in fact it is the duplicate of column of Trajan for now, because the Arcus of Marcus Aurelius should be done. It is the works on it are in progress, but in fact they are at the beginning. I have been working on the coloring on the reconstruction of the column of Trajan about half a year, and I have found, of course, the time to do the same thing for the column of Marcus Aurelius, and honestly it will be more difficult because this column was much more damaged than the column of Trajan. About 20 or 30 amount of images are in a poor condition, and so we have to do a lot of work. So at this moment it is almost completely the column of Trajan, just to fill it, just to fill the square, and just the sculpture of the Marcus on top is really the sculpture of Marcus Aurelius. Looks like the temple of related these columns was also here. And yes, indeed, we are now at the Campus Martius. Now we will try to go to the Pantheon. And don't forget, it is the late ancient time, and at this time this part of city has been already fulfilled with buildings, with residential buildings, these temples and so on, and it was no longer the campus, the field as it was at the Republican times and so on. Okay, now let's try go through the let's give a little fly here because I don't want to mess up in the textures. Okay, let's return and go along the Aqua Virgo. I think it will be more interesting there because there are some interesting buildings there as well between the Via Lata and Pantheon. Here I have accelerated a little. Now let's go here. It should be a road here. Yes, it is some kind of road, and you can see the dome of Pantheon. And to the right there are the backside of the sanctuary of Hadrian. Then to the left, behind the Aqua Virgo, we can see a little, some kind of square, which probably had been or probably not, we don't really know. And here there were situated some famous buildings. This wall is the back wall of the Temple of Isis Compensa, and at the far side there is the triumphal entry to the Divorum, a famous sanctuary created by the Diocletian to the honor of his family, Flavian dynasty. So have I go directly to the Pantheon, or do you like also to visit these places? Maybe. Okay, I see, go to the Pantheon. Okay, let's visit the Pantheon, and then if you want we will visit some other locations. I think the interior of the Pantheon here is okay, and we can see it. Oh, you also want to see the Stadium of Diocletian, of Domitian? Okay, I think it is also present is here in this model. Here you can see the hall, but it should be the road here, of course. To the right side we can see the sanctuary of Matidia. Let's just look at it. It was the temple with the portico and the two lateral basilicas of Matidia and Marciana at their sites. Okay, so you want to visit Sanctuary of Isis. It is also not completed, but I can see you the current edition for now. No problem. Don't forget the Temple of Serapis, please. Okay, I will show you this. It is also in progress, but nevertheless. Okay, this is the square in front of Pantheon. Our reconstruction of Pantheon is also the mixed one. The interior is great, and the exterior is rather old and should be redone. You can see these awful cornices here. They should be eliminated. They replace it to the another ones. But the main imagination you can have, because the dimension of this square are correct. You can see the buildings of the adjoining bath of Nero, and later rebuilt as the bath of Alexander Severus there. And this, at the south, you can see the Pantheon with its famous portico, which still survives. Okay. We're happy even with incomplete models. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Because this is the first part, I'm showing you the unfinished model. And I wonder what the feedback will be. Now I will try to find the position of the sun when the shafts will be enlightened by the sun at sunset. Actually, the main part of the day, the shafts of Pantheon are in shade, but there is mostly in summer the little period of time in the evening when the shafts of Pantheon, the facade is shaded, is enlightened with sun. I will just try to find this moment, something like this. Okay, get inside. Okay, I'm going inside, don't worry. Thomas Jefferson tried to recreate that is shown to university. Maybe, yes, I am just saying what you're thinking about. Yes, I think it was just kind of inspiration. In fact, Pantheon inspired a lot of famous and beautiful buildings all over the world, of course. Okay. Maybe I will have to adjust the light now because it will be very, very dark there. I think I will open the settings. Because now the lighting settings are frozen and I will have to adjust them to the Pantheon. Okay, now it is very, very dark. Let's try to find the Oculus. Yes, it is. This is Oculus. Looks like I have to go down to the floor. Now I will try to invite it. Can you visit the temple of Mars Ultor? Not yet, but soon it will be possible. The new edition of Temple of Augustus is almost completed. And it will be, of course, one of the best parts of our project. I will now try to increase the exposure. But it looks like for now we have more artifacts there. It need to be the artificial oh, it is very, very more. I will have to go down. So in this way it is not very good quality and it still needs to be adjusted. So at the moment this is a rather dark place. Let's just try to make some another part of day, some another time of day. I can visit Capitolian and Palatine Hill, but they are still also unfinished and mixed ones. There are not many new models there, but the part of Rome which is relatively up to date is it is the Forum Romanum itself, and I will definitely show it to you. So that thing I can do it for you for now. It's just moving the white, and you can just to have the imagination how it looked like. Now that's it. Yes, this building is mostly intact, but some part of them are it is not the same as it was at ancient times. For example, this level of model was, as you can see, it is differs from that we have now. Looks like this design has been changed in late Renaissance time, and now we have only a little section of it in build recreated before the World War II. Also, there is a discussion about these windows. There is an assumption that these windows was the white wells, not fiction, but really white wells to let the light to go down and to invite these exedras. And of course, it means that maybe these windows has some kind of transparent, didn't have such heavy windows, but maybe some kind of more transparent windows, some kind of these ones. Okay. No, not the gods nor Vandals messed it up, but definitely the inhabitants of city itself during the first 1000 years after the fall of the Roman Empire. The destruction of Rome has begun on a full strength from the 6th century AD and finished about the 20th, 13th century AD, when the first drawings appeared, first engravings appeared. We can see the ancient city of Rome, almost the same as we can see it now. So the whole city has been lost between the 500 year AD and 1200 years AD, during the 67, during the 6 and 700 years. They stole everything, not everything, but of course they pillaged a lot of gilding of gold, a lot of sculptures, and a lot of decorations, but not all. As we have mentions, we have some notions that even in 7th century AD, the Byzantine Emperor succeeded in pillaging the remains of the treasures of ancient Rome. I am speaking about the Constans II. The bath of Nero is now a not very good condition, it's a very old model, but we can go through here and just have to look at the bath of Agrippa, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we can go through there. it is also not very perfect state, but here we can obtain some kind of imagination, some kind of clue how the bath of Agrippa and situated behind them the gardens of Agrippa could look like. Yes, I hope it will be saved. It is my first attempt to go live on YouTube, and as far as I know, the live will be automatically saved after I finish the translation. This is the rear side of the bath of Agrippa, which in fact has been rebuilt several times during the ancient period, and I think we hardly can imagine how they initially looked like. So it is the addition about the made about the time of Diocletian, so and something near to that time. Baths of Diocletian are also in progress, and there is only an exterior of the main building is completed, and there is still not the surroundings of this bath has not been modeled yet, since it is the periphery of the building. We can see this the bath of Nero, the bath of Alexander Severus at the background, and here the bath of Agrippa, the adjoining portico, and here at the background you can see the facade of the Theatre of Pompey. As I remember, somebody asked me about the Theatre of Pompey. Let's go there. Let's visit the place of assassination of Julius Caesar. It is not also completed and decorated, but nevertheless we can visit it. At least we can visit the place. Okay. Here we are going between the Theatre of Pompeius complex, and at this place there was a big complex named the Temple of Boni Aventi, Temple of Good Deed. Here we can see the Pantheon with the gilded dome and the Basilica of Neptunus behind. Sorry, I have dropped it. I am returning it. Here you can see the dome of the bath of Agrippa, partially survived, and in surrounding buildings of it now. Largo Argentina is not completed. There are just some rough buildings there now, just to fill up, but I can show it, of course. Here it is one of most up-to-date models. It is the portico at Temple of Boni Aventi. This water pond is presumably that which has been left from the famous Agrippa Pond, which has been built by Agrippa at the beginning of during the time of the Augustus. Initially it was much more bigger, and then it has been reduced. Don't fall under the road, and I have to say again that I'm using fly mode, because if I use the walking mode, it will be just I don't know, maybe 5 or 4 FPS, so I cannot use it, and I have to emulate the steps by using. I'm trying to resume the videos, the stream. Looks like I am online again. Is anybody here? Please let me know if anybody is still here or can connect to me again. I will be waiting a little if somebody here. Nevertheless, I would like to finish this stream on in some better way than just shut down. It was a shutdown of network for 3 hours, but now looks like it is resolved. I have spoken with the provider support and I hope I will be able to resume and to finish this stream in some more proper way. Please let me know is whether anyone here. I will be maybe waiting for a while. Actually, I'm not sure is the leaf still persists or not. Maybe not. But maybe yes. I'm now trying to check it with my mobile phone and looks like the translation, the leaf goes forward. Okay. Just let me do maybe. I will just let's. Thank you. I see. Hello from Hungary. Hello to you too. I will just try to maybe to let know my followers in, for example, in Instagram that I have resumed my live so they can join. Just a little moment, and then we will go forward. And I will proceed with it. I will just make a post that I'm resuming this live, so the people would be able to know and would be able to proceed to join us. And we will now go via other places of ancient Rome. I just tried to send the message, then the leaf is resumed, and we can go forward. We can move forward. I just want to share it. To share. Nevertheless, I hope that this video will be automatically uploaded by YouTube. If not, I have first part of it already saved on my PC, so it is not a problem. Even in the most worst condition, I will upload it as a video manually, but I still hope it will be saved automatically. Just give me one little time, 1 minute, and we will be able to proceed with it. Okay, I have posted it in Instagram that the leaf is resumed and post the link. Looks like it's working now. Салют всем кривитам, кто смотрит меня на родном языке. Hello to everyone who has joined. I will just do it as well on Facebook. Okay. So I have shared it either on Facebook and as well on Instagram, and I hope somebody will join us. If anyone here, please let me know if you are here, and can you hear me and can you see me? Please give me a little feedback, and it will be better for me to know that I am not speaking to the empty place. Okay. This is not a game engine. This is a render, which is used for images and video producing. As for game engine, I will soon show you the first steps of it as well. I think it will be either Unreal Engine or Unity Engine, and I have started uploading some parts of our project there, but it is rather a slow process because I have to adjust model, to optimize model, to set up level of detailing, and so on and so on. Here all models are uploaded as they are, so there is not a big toolkit for optimization and so on. Okay, thank you. So the leaf is visible for you followers. Okay. Nevertheless, I want to end the road I have promised before I have been disconnected, and maybe then I will finish this live stream, and I will arrange some next series to any other day, and we will be able to proceed if it would be interesting. So let's proceed. As I said before, it is the temple of so-called Boni Aventi. It is now reconstructed as a quite big temple, and enormous capitals have been found in that place something in 19th century. So we can roughly reconstruct an enormous temple here and a big portico. Let's now go towards the theater of Pompeii. I remind that we are now at the Campus Martius, which has been almost completely built up with buildings, with temples, entertainment complexes by the end of ancient times. Okay, now I will leave this complex, and now you can see that it is as well the edge of our model, and here we can see the theater of Pompeii, but of course by this time he wasn't standing on that empty place. This road has been built up from the both sides. There were buildings here, but nevertheless, let's go to the theater and have a little look at it, how it looked like. In order to have some imagination how it looks. Yes, it is the temple, and which was built up in the theater, the so-called temples of Venus Victrix. There is this temple. Okay, let's try to go inside. I think I will now again try to adjust some exposure. Let's try to adjust it a little. Okay. Maybe I will try to go via some steps. Okay. How many polygons do you use for the Corinthian Capital? I don't remember by heart. I think in average several hundred or even 2,000-3,000. It is low polycapitals, but for some big and significant buildings we use high poly ones. And I think I will do it even more flexible in the game engine, where we can use level of detailing. And there I will use some high poly capitals which consists several 50,000 polygons and so on. In any case, we will see. Now the abilities of modern game engine allow us to use high poly capitals, especially in Unreal Engine 5. Maybe it is a little bit overestimated for now. I'm speaking about this nanite and lumen technologies, but nevertheless it is a big step forward for visualization. And I hope when it will be released, not the demo version, but the first edition, I hope it will be rather good, rather useful, and rather effective. Okay, so here I have now entered the theater of Pompeii. It is also not completed model. Let's enlighten a little. Let's increase exposure a little. I'm using auto exposure for now. So it is also the new model, but not fully textured. And you can see the first edition of it, the core of model, without further decorations. And this is the first our edition for this temple of Venus Victrix. And as ancient authors said, the theater was some kind of pedestal of step towards the temple. And now we can move down. Towards the cavea. I will not go inside, I will just jump over using the fly method and will go downstairs. I will pass through this scena to the entertainment area behind the theater, and as I promised before, I would like you to show the place where the Julius Caesar has been assassinated. Okay. So you can have a little bit imagination how big was this Scena fronts. Now I will try to go forward and using this lateral basilica adjoined to the theater to go to this area behind the temple, behind the theater. Okay, we can see these corridors, this basilica, and then we will enter this area behind the theater. This portico is also will be decorated in next editions of our reconstruction. There will be marble walls and decorated wooden ceiling and so on. Now it is the first edition of it. Okay, and this is the backside of the theater of Pompeii. I will increase the exposure a little again. I think it's too dark. Okay. This complex has been presumably has been dedicated by Pompey and should honor his achievements which has been done on the honor of the Roman Republic. Presumably there was the Arch of Pompeii, and here we can move through the airway towards the Curia of Pompeii. Let's step forward. And this area intended for resting, for walking, has been surrounded by portico. Oh, they have here this overriding again. Looks like I haven't fixed it, but nevertheless, let's see the Curia of Pompeii. It was here, now it has been closed, but let's enter it. Yes, the floor isn't visible. It is hidden by grass, but you can see the main core of the building. I haven't yet decorated it, but you can have the imagination that it was the two-storied building with the gallery, and presumably the statue sculpture of Pompey the Great was here, and the Caesar has been killed just under this statue. So this is the Curia of Pompeii, and I hope soon I will be able to show it to you in a full glory. Okay. So this is the theater of Pompeii. Now let's go back from the Campus Martius. I will have to show several locations which I have promised to show to my followers which have been online, which were in chat. I think they are no longer in chat, but nevertheless I think they will return to view to see the video, so I will show some locations I have promised to invite. Okay, this is rows of shops and tabernas which have been here at the sites of Theatre of Pompeii. In fact, almost any Roman complex was a mixture of first some religious objects as well as the entertainment and entire useful for and the some objects intended for shopping for common use. Here is also the empty area. Just imagine that there should be buildings there, of course, and I will go towards the theater of Balbus. We can see it at the distance, and to the right we can see the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, the back side of it. It was one of the dominant buildings of ancient Rome. And here even I have the hole in the ground. Here are temples of the so-called Largo Argentina, but they are not finished. It is only the rough estimation. I think I will try to show via Biberatica. I will make an attempt to go through it. Okay. Now I will return to the query now here. I will show the so-called Temple of Serapis. In fact, it is also in progress, but one of my followers asked it to show the current state of it. I will now try to go here via these buildings. Yes, looks like I have passed through and between the two famous complexes on Campus Martius. To the left it is the wall of Sanctuary of Isus Campense. Let's spend a little time and enter it. So this is the complex of Isis and Serapis. Presumably there have been one of the obeliscus and the famous pine, which can be seen now in Vatican. Here presumably was the sanctuary of Serapis, and here presumably was the sanctuary of Isis. It is still not finished yet, but you can see these sphinxes, these obeliscus, and here the sanctuary itself. And well, we are here. Let's take a look at the so-called Scepter Julia. It was the temple, the place for elections at the times of Roman Republic, and it has been rebuilt by Caesar and Augustus as a completely different complex, which consisted on two big porticos, porticus of Argonauti and porticus of Meleager, and we can presume that they have been decorated respectively with these ancient stories. Behind the portico you can see the buildings belonging to Bath of Agrippa, This is the dome of the Bath of Agrippa, the Basilica of Neptunus, and the Pantheon itself. Let's return. Let's take a look at the other famous sanctuary. It is here. It is so-called Devorum, which is presumably built by Emperor Domitian. Yes, of course there are some scripts, but as I said, it is not the game engine, and here there are models as they are without any optimization, without anything. Yes, of course I'm using these algorithms in game engine, adjusting it with the models. That's why the process of the developing of our game engine application is really is rather slow, because we have to adjust everything. The amount of models is enormous, and of course we have to optimize either or both textures as well as 3D models. So this sanctuary was dedicated to the Flavian dynasty, and presumably there were temples dedicated to Vespasian and Titus. And at the background we can see again the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus. Now let's try to find the temple of Serapis. In fact, I know where it is situated, but I would like to go to it by streets, not to fly there. Let's try. I think we will go there via Lata. I will return to Via Lata. It is nowadays Via del Corso, and I will go using Via Lata towards the Capitolian Hill, and then we will try to move to the Trojans Markets, and then from there we can go upstairs, uphill, up the Quirinal, and therefore approach to the Bath of Constantine at Temple of Serapis at the Quirinal Hill. Okay, I have returned to Via Lata. The crossing with the Aqueduct Aqua Virgo. We have been here today, and now I'm going to the opposite direction, approaching the Capitoline Hill. It is so-called New Arch, presumably built by Diocletian. You can see the north slope of the Capitoline Hill at the background and its temples, especially Temple of Juno Moneta and the Temple of Isus Capitolinus. Here, if you remember, we have this overriding as well, and try to find the way between these. No, let's try to go through the forums. I also promised to show the forums. The Forum Romanum itself and this part of Imperial Forum. Let's go via the Forum Romanum. Well, here we are passing through the street, and to the left we have the walls of Forum of Caesar and Forum of Trajan. Here we have messed up roads, and now we are approaching Forum Romanum. Yes, you can see the Arch of Septimus Severus, the Basilica Julia, the famous Tullianum, the famous jail for the victims of the Roman triumphs, the Temple of Saturn, the Temple of Concord, the Temple of Vespasian. These are indeed new models of our project. Not 100% completed, but near that stage. This is the forum itself, as it looked like at the late ancient time, already populated with an enormous amount of triumphal honorary columns, presumably built by Diocletian and Maxentius. We can see the equestrian statue of the Septimus Severus. And now let's try to go to the Trojans Markets using so-called Argiletum. Yes, these are dynamic shadows, real time. In fact, this is ray tracing, and it eats a lot of performance. Now I'm trying to go via Forum of Nerva. Yes. Here it is. This is Forum of Nerva, one of the most completed models of our project. Oops. The part of its colonnade still survives. You can see it on Via del Foglio Imperiale, so-called colonnace. Two columns and entablatures on it. These are not part of the temple, but the part of this colonnade. If I'm not mistaken, presumably these two ones. And this is the temple of Minerva itself. It has survived till 17th century, and then it has been dismantled. We can see it on Renaissance engravings. It is the example of those buildings which survived the Dark Ages but didn't survive the Renaissance times and the times after Renaissance. Thank you for your feedback about the Forum Romanum. For now, it is one of the most up-to-date objects. Here we have something messed up with the roads. Yes, I think two editions of roads is overridden, the older one and the newer one. Yes, here is so-called Subura districts starting, and here is the path which we need. It is the path which is going to the Temple of Serapis at the top of the Quirinal Hill. Let's go here, and it is the wall, the so-called fire wall, the back wall of the Forum of Augustus, which still survives to almost, and it is almost fully survives. The Forum of Augustus is it is an old edition now. It is outdated. You can see the temple of Marcellus via the arch, which still preserves. Even today, the visitors can make photos from this location. Even me had some photos from this place. Let's step forward. Let's go towards the Quirinal Hill. And here we can see the parts of the Trajan Markets. Let's explore them as they are. You can see the model is not properly connected with the other, as the majority of the buildings so far. So it looks magnificent maybe from the distance when we make aerial views, but when we at the ground you can see lots of artifacts, overridings and so on. So it is the big building place till now. Almost all our objects are still in progress. Here we have the steps. Let's go down, and now we will go to the Trojans Markets themselves, the most famous part of them, the most recognizable part of them. There is now the common view that these walls have been plastered. They weren't just brick. They looks like they have been plastered. And this is the Trajan Market. Also the model is in progress. Happy for this to have resumed. Thank you. I'm happy too. In order, I would like to end this live stream in some better way than just shut down. Okay. I don't remember whether we have here the entering. Yes, for example, here we have it. We can go in. In the medieval ages, these rooms are used for different purposes, for example, as granary and so on. And this is the walls of the Forum of Trajan. It is the old edition of the Forum. 2 months ago I have started working on the new, big, completely new edition for Forum of Trajan. But now I have postponed it a while, and I think I will resume working on it maybe in a few months. Now I will move my priorities to some other objects about just like the Altar of Peace, the completion of the Forum Romanum, and then I will return to the Forum of Trajan. But in any case, some parts of Forum of Trajan are already done. These are Trajan's column and the so-called Temple of Divine Trajanus and Plotina. can we see the Basilica of Maxentius? I will show it from outside, but I think in this edition the inside view is not available. I will check, because I have added the new edition of Basilica here, but the new edition of the Basilica doesn't contain the proper interior yet, just the proper exterior. Okay, it's great that you are asking even in complete models. Okay, I will show whenever I have, no problem. Whatever I have here. I no longer have nothing. I no longer have anything to hide. Okay, let's try to go around the Trajan Market. In fact, I'm searching for Via Biberatica. I think it will be something where there, maybe. Yes, it is rather messed up. The road should be shifted here, but looks like it is here. Yes, some kind of this, the messed up road by Via Biber. Oh, okay, we even have here this step, the not corresponding upon the height. Let's so go down, and this is the Via Biberatica. The Via Biberatica itself is almost completed one. The only thing that we will add here, we will maybe just recolor these facades. As I said, they should be, looks like they should be plastered. They should have stucco. They should not be just a raw brick. Okay. Yes, so this is the other end of Via Biberatica. I think we also have here some kind of message of the not arranged edge of the road. Yes, I think we also have a step here. It should be adjusted, but it is still not adjusted. And just let me go towards the temple of Serapis and the bath of Constantine, the last great bath of the ancient Rome. Somewhere it looks better, somewhere it looks awful. So it is not very, it is very heterogenic model for now. And now you can see the temple of Serapis at the distance. And to the right you can see the buildings of the bath of Constantine and his terrace with the trees. It is still a subject of discussions whether the part of Temple of Serapis has been demolished when the bath of Constantine the Great have been built, because you can see that there is a really narrow street, and this temple facing the bath themselves, there isn't any space in front of it. It is quite unusual for such great temples, but nevertheless we have as we have. And now you can see that it is not finished. There should be a stairs here, and here as well there should be the colonnades and sculptures here. I have already did them, but I haven't added it to the project. The temple itself is the first edition of the temple. It is not finished, but you can imagine the enormous size dimensions of this temple. And this is the buildings of the Bus of Constantine. And again there is an empty space. Behind them only a few buildings are there. Let's take a look at them. Here you can see the temple of Quirinus, and to the right, let's go here in order to have a better look. And here you even can see the bath of Diocletian. But of course this area of rim should be completely fulfilled by the residential buildings and so on. It is still work in progress. Yes, I think when I finish this temple, the complex, I think it will be one of the most magnificent part of the 3D construction, because it was a really exciting object. Okay, what is remaining? I think I have promised to show the Colosseum, the Via Sacra, and the Palatine as is. Let's move to that part of Rome. I will just now choose the road for it. Okay, this is the edge of the object, and you can see even some significant objects. This is so-called Trophee De Mario, which in fact was an nymphaeum built at the time of Alexander Severus at the other side of the city at the Esquiline Hill. And there, somewhat at the background, you can see the Aqua Marcia and Aqua Claudia, which brought the waters to the Palatine Hill and to the center of the city. What about the Salian Hill where the Temple of Claudius? Okay, it is yes, it is in a good condition now, rather good condition. I will show it, no problem. So let's leave this part of Rome. I think it will be also really impressive when it is finished. I will now choose another street in order to have the imaging of the buildings, not this, because as you can guess, the left side of the street should be also populated with buildings. Let's go here, for example. And I will go with these districts towards the Colosseum. We will come across so-called Subura area. If you can see, I don't know whether the quality of video allows. You can see even this Colosseum and the statue, back of the statue of Colossus at the background. Here the Colossus, here the Colosseum, the Theatrum Flavium. Thank you for your feedback. Yes, of course, the enormous amount of work is ahead, you can imagine. Yes, I remember this project on Google Earth you're speaking about. It was a part of a famous Rome Reborn project, which still exists, but looks like they abandoned this cooperation with Google Earth. But yes, it was, I think it was about 14 years ago, maybe 2008, yeah, 2009, and it was really a great achievement that time. Yes, I remember it. It was one of the things which encouraged me, inspired me to make my own project. Okay, looks like we are now on Subura. Yes, as you can see, we have been here already. It is these arches are the backside of Forum of Nero, and so this is so-called Porticus Absidata. And behind it we can see the temples of the Capitoline Hill and the gilded roof of the Jupiter Optimus Maximus. Let's go towards the Colosseum. Thank you for your feedback. Let's go towards Colosseum. We can see it, the background. Sometimes I am increasing the speed of the movement. Yes, the temple of Juno Moneta was on the part called Arcs, the northern part of the Capitoline Hill. I have mentioned it in our video for 2 or 3 times, but it is still unfinished and it should be completed. I don't know when, I'm not sure where we can see it or not. I think this is the background of the Forum of Peace. Do you want me to visit Forum of Peace? Because before we are going to Colosseum and Celian Hill, if you want, please let me know. I will spend some time for it. And here is the Basilica of Maxentius on this next to it. Let's move towards the Basilica of Maxentius. Yes, this is the enormous building of the basilica, the back side of it. Yes, you can see the back side of Basilica of Maxentius. To the right is the back side of the Forum of Peace. And approximately here, now the Via del Foro Imperiale passes through. But of course it is a little bit higher, maybe this level. Something like this. Let's go towards Colosseum using Via Sacra. We can see as well the temple of Venus and Roma. How long have you been at it? Now, I didn't understand fully. What do you mean? Do you mean how much time I've spent in Rome, in the city? How much times I have visited it, or what? What was the building you had more fun doing? I think it were 2 buildings which I which I'm proud of, and it was a big pleasure for me to do. And these are Bath of Caracalla and the Trajan's column. These are very interesting, unusual items, and I'm very proud of. I think I succeed to make it in a rather good quality, which hasn't similar analogs in the world so far. This is the facade of the Basilica of Maxentius. We are standing at Via Sacra, and we can see the Forum Romanum. Let's go to the opposite side towards the Colosseum, and now in front of us we can see the biggest temple of ancient Rome. It is the temple of Venus and Roma, built by Hadrian at 2nd century AD, and extensionally rebuilt by Maxentius after the Great Fire. Here is the temple. Yes, as I said, it is the temple of Venus and Roma. Now let's move towards the Palatine. I wanted to know how long it took to make the model. I have started to work on this project 13 years ago. Yes, it was some pauses. I've spent some time doing other reconstructions, for example, ancient Greece, some cities in Ukraine and Russia, but I am working with Rome systematically, I think, about at least 8 years already. And there are some objects which I have done, which I did several times, because some old models are outdated and we obtain new data. There are some new sources, some new archaeological investigations, and of course we want to make our models up to date. Yes, it is. This place has been there was the Domus Aurea, the golden palace of Nero. This place of city was the part of this palace, and here this part of Via Sacra was the some great gallery, great street towards the entry into that palace, and the statue of Colossus of Nero, initially it was dedicated to Nero, has been situated approximately here, in front of nowadays Temple of Venus and Rome. Let's take a look at the Palatine Hill, as you asked. Ubisoft. Maybe Ubisoft will do the ancient Rome. There, I often receive some questions whether I had some conversation with Ubisoft, whether I wanted to have a cooperation with them. In fact, I have contacted Ubisoft, but looks like they weren't interested in our project. But I think I can understand it, because this is the game industry and they have just another priorities. Yes, they can create the beautiful atmosphere. For example, I very like the Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey, but I rather have to say that our objectives and aims of our projects are a little bit another, because they can create, Ubisoft can create the atmosphere, the beautiful game, but they don't have the goal to recreate the city in an accurate way. For example, if we, and it is not a problem for them, it is normally because it is the game first of all, not their construction. For example, I remember the old game Assassin's Creed in Rome, in medieval Rome. I forgot the name of it. If I'm not mistaken, Brotherhood or something like this, and it was medieval Rome. Yes, there were some accurate reconstructions of Pantheon and Colosseum. Yes, and there's Brotherhood, thank you. And yes, this is the point which I'm trying to explain, that they simplified the Rome in a very, very big degree. The amount of buildings were very few, and the dimensions of the city, of the Rome city in Brotherhood, were maybe 2 or 3 times smaller than actual dimensions of the Rome city. And I'm afraid that there will be something similar if they create the ancient Rome. So it is not a problem. I will be happy if they will release some such project. So you can see it is completely messed up. This Palace of Diocletian, it is old models, even some columns are missing. So I don't know. Okay, if you want to go inside, I will. Let's check what we have inside now. If I didn't eliminate the interior in order to enlighten the model, in order to make the model lighter. There are some pictures of dimensions of the to show actual dimensions. Yes, we have our Regia. It is old, very old model, but you have a little imagination how it looked like. Oh, I congratulate you. So you have succeeded to solve the game to Ubisoft, but maybe your game was more suitable for them. I don't know, because I think maybe there some specifications of game could be significant for them. I don't know. In any case, I don't see any problem here. Their projects need to be done, because Assassin's Creed series, it is a great series of game, and I think our projects also make sense because we are trying to recreate the whole city, any street. It is our priority. So I think any project deserves its attention, and we are not we will not steal the audience from each other. I don't see any problem in it. The columns here are also missing, and this is the triclinia, the famous enormous dining room, and it is also outdated. It is also messed up. So yes, there are lots of artifacts here. In order, it is not even incomplete. It is an old model which very soon will be replaced with a new one. Maybe if the quality of network will be better. I will do some new live streams where I will show the new Palatine Hill in progress as well, the new edition. We will see. I think I will make some posts with screenshots of the new edition of Palatine Hill very soon. Let's visit, as we are on Palatine Hill, let's visit the only up-to-date part of the Palatine. It is the Temple of Apollo and the Sanctuary of Apollo. Current Temple of Vesta are also outdated, but I hope soon I will also finish it. The Temple and Atrium Vesta are in priority for now, because they are joining the Forum Romanum, and for the completion of Forum Romanum is now in priority for me. It is, I think it is 70-80% completed, and I want to reach the full completeness of the project of that part. And this is the Sanctuary of Apollo on Palatine. This is the temple itself, so-called Gilded Temple, and we have recreated the coloring for it according to the recent researches, so it is quite relevant. They used lots of yellow and gilded coloring there. Here presumably was the Palatine Library and the Portico of Danaids. Actually, there should be statues of 50 Danaids and their bridegrooms, but in this edition I've eliminated them in order to invite the model. And we have another portico here, so-called portico dedicated to Roma Quadrata. And now they have some kind of balcony from which we can see the panorama of the city towards the south. Yes, you can see the Circus Maximus, the bath of Caracalla at the distance. There is bath of Caracalla, the houses and temples of the Aventine Hill, and even Trastevere, Tiber Island, Forum Boarium. We can return to the temple. And let's go towards the Colosseum and Celian Hill with Temple of Claudius, as you asked. Looks like we have some artifacts on C. Now I will go downstairs towards the Arches of Titus again. This was the so-called Arches of Octavius. So this is quite unfinished part of Rome, and this is the temple of Jupiter Ulterus, which is more known, often mentioned as the temple of Elagabalus, which has been dedicated by this emperor for a relatively short time, but to this god, the Syrian god. The terrace, the substructures of this enormous complex still preserves. Okay, let's go downstairs. And pass through the Arch of Titus. In fact, this arch will be updated in color too, and currently it is without colors, but you can see it how it looked like. Let's go towards the Colosseum. To the left we can see the wall and colonnade of the portico of the Temple of Venus and Roma. To the right it is the facade of the Domus with atrium, which has been excavated, and some new data have been found for it recently. Here presumably was so-called Curia Veteris, one of the oldest curia of ancient Rome. But it is only a presumption. It is so-called Metasudans, the fountain, and actually it is my first model which I have done for this project, and it needs to be replaced because it is very old. It is 13 years old, but it is really the first model I have ever did, not only for Rome, but ever. And you can see the Arch of Constantine the Great behind. It will also be painted, as I think. There are some controversial assumptions, some ideas that maybe till that time, at the beginning of the 4th century, the ancient sculptures and reliefs will no longer be painted or renewed or painted. Weren't been updated, but it is not exact. We don't know, and the discussions are still in progress about it. In order, we know only a little about this. Okay, and so the Colosseum. Colosseum is also rather outdated, and this is the statue of Colossus, which after the death of Nero has been moved to this place and rededicated to the sun god, and it stood here till the end of the ancient time, and maybe it stood even till the 7th or 8th century. There is even such assumption, but nobody can prove it because we have no data about the fate of this sculpture. You saying about the other project? I'm not sure I can pronounce it correctly. Is it the project from France, if I'm not mistaken? Because I have seen some videos about it. There is a woman and a man presenting such as the project. Maybe you mean this project. If yes, it is really good in terms of precise. I don't know which game engine they use. It looks like they use some game engine, but it is a really good project, which also lasts a certain time for years. I have seen their video with the Arapatzis and the Augustus Horologium at the Campus Martius recently. Aha, so thank you. Thank you for information. So yes, it is. I respect this project, and I think they are also doing a good thing. I'm following this project as well. I think it is in fact a good idea to have several Rome projects, so we can have some sort of competition. We can encourage one another and so on. And you have the some kind of choice. You can compare our projects and as well. It's normal thing, I think. Okay, so it is the Colosseum. This post which I mentioned the area of it, Kipios, on the Latin language. Are there any major differences or interpretations of how the buildings looked? Yes, certainly. I can say that we haven't any building discussions on appearance of which we couldn't have. Any Roman building is a subject of some discussions, of some interpretations. Even the Colosseum, we cannot recreate it with the 100% possibility. We have some serious questions regarding it. Is it upper level from inside and so on. There is even a discussion there. Were there statues, sculptures in the arches or not? For this time I'm enjoying that they actually were, but there are serious scientists which has different another vision of this problem. And the Colosseum is one of the most known buildings, the most researched, and we have a data for it, actual archaeological data. But what can we say about the buildings for which we have only foundations, the parts of decoration? So it is all this the kind of interpretation of comparison of imagination and so on. So our goal is not to show how Rome actually looked like. We never could achieve it unless we don't have the time machine also and so on. But we really can show you at least how Rome actually could look like. For example, if some human from the ancient time would appear now, would have take a look our reconstructions and would say yes, it is something similar and it will be okay. I'm looking at this way, and this is the enter to the Ludus Magnus, the famous gladiator school. There were actually several schools for gladiators in Rome, and this was the biggest one, just opposite side. Let's take a little. It is the arena. I have a question: how will the Roman Forum will look like in 2022 if it wasn't destroyed? Nobody knows. Actually, there are some images made in Photoshop. I have seen it in internet for Romanum with billboards, with electricity wise. If you're interested, you can search something like this. The Meta students was demolished on Mussolini orders. Yes, from one side I have heard about this, but from another side I think this issue has to be investigated again, because I have heard that the Meta students and the pedestal of the statue of Nero has been demolished to free the space for Via del Foglio Imperiale. But in the same way, but in the same time, I have seen the photo which already shows the Via del Foglio Imperiale and the pedestal of the Colossus still preserves. So it is a little bit of contradiction, a bit of mystery here, and I think I will have to investigate this, and maybe I will make some post of it, and maybe even a video. But of course they were demolished at I think before the World War II. But I think we have to research what was the exact time of demolition and the reason of it. Yeah, they were discovered the numerals there above the Arch of Colosseum. They are absent here, but I think in the next edition we will add, as well as some decoration. And if you know, there were the ceilings of some Colosseum corridors, galleries have been decorated with stucco reliefs, and so it was not just a modest building. Some galleries have been decorated. Okay, so let's go to the Temple of Claudius, as you asked. I'm already the resume of this live stream is already 1 hour and a half. So totally I think I'm streaming now about 3 hours. Strange thing for me. In fact, it is my first attempt to go live on YouTube. I have live streams on Instagram, but they were it was some different experience. So now we are climbing upstairs the Selene Hill, if you can guess, towards the Temple of Divine Claudius. Yes. If you want to get more details, you can now take a look at one of the most completed buildings. This is the Temple of Claudius, this famous rusted design. You can see it, these substructures. I will hope you will enjoy this detailing. Let's go downstairs and take a look at the Nymphaeum behind the temple. Yes, the level of the ground has raised several meters, and as I know, the biggest increase of the level of the ground is on Campus Martius, thanks to the constant flooding by the river, by the Tiber, during the medieval ages. I will. Yes, I think my project also have a lot of clean and pristine textures, but I think it will be one of the next step, and we will add some facturas, some dirty, some decals in, and I think it will be better to do it in a game engine where the toolkit for it is much better. Is the abilities for it there even can do it in an automatic way, because here we have just to do it manually by hands. So it is the Nymphaeum of Claudius, and some parts of the facade are still survive. Let's go maybe higher. Let's take a little bit for let's have a fly, and you can see the basins of the water. I think it was enormous and beautiful Nymphaeum. What is your favorite forum? My favorite forum is the Forum of Peace. I don't know why, but I like this forum most of all, and I have done the new edition of it a year ago, and it is one of the most up-to-date objects of our project. I have asked once, but maybe some new followers appeared. If you want to see the Forum of Peace, just let me know. I will go there as well. Yes, the lack of patina, yes, of course, because the material of the sculptures is very simple, and I think we will add some patina and some other things in the game engine. Yes, yes, I'm aware of it. Yes, the Nerva forum is also very pleasant. I think it was a very clever decision to do it in this as a transitorial forum in this really narrow space. It was a very good and clever decision from the architectural point of view. Thank you. Maybe when I will do the forum of Trajan, maybe it will be also. I think it was the most beautiful and the most rich forum of ancient Rome, and I will check it when I will do it in a full detail and when I finish it. In fact, when I'm modeling some objects, I am learning it object in a detail. I'm investigating it. I'm go inside, go deeper to the investigations and so on. And I can receive a new imagination, a new vision of this object. Maybe I will change my mind when I will finish with the bus with the Forum of Trajan. I don't know, but so far the Forum of Peace is my favorite. Okay, let's give a try and go to the upstairs to the Temple of Claudius. I think we have still artifacts here with the with the steps. I want to see the Septisodium. I have already shown it at the beginning of this stream. It is the old model, but soon I will add the new edition of it. It is completed, and I think, in a few weeks, the new edition of Septisodium will be added to the project. And yes, it is one of the most beautiful nymphaeums of the ancient Rome, but honestly, I don't know not beautiful nymphaeum in Rome. All of them were the pieces of art. At least those which we are aware of. This is the temple of Claudius. Sorry for at the time I haven't trees here. I have to replace. There was some process, work in process here. Here should be the trees should be. We are recreating. They are interpreting the plan which we have from marble plan of Rome in that way that there were areas of trees and or at least some bushes. So here where you can see the green stripes, there were trees or bushes or plants. And here we can see this temple of Claudius. I hope you can enjoy this view. I will even go there and show you the perspective of Colosseum from the height of the human eyes. Who knows what happened to the trees? Yes, it will be possible to purchase these 3D models when it will be ready and when it will be packaged in the game engine. I'm working it for several years and eventually I hope to release the first version of it this year. I really hope. What are your favorite emperors? My favorite emperors? Julian there. Flavius Claudius Julian, known as Julian Apostate. Then I think Aurelianus, the Restitutor Orbis. Then I can name Septimius Severus. What else? Who else? Domitian, I think Domitian. And if I name 5 emperors, I can't help saying Augustus, of course. But it is as well very, very subjective. It is just my vision from scratch. Actually, I think I have forgotten some really good emperors, effective emperors, which I adore as well. For example, Diocletian. And the Constantine the Great as well. I don't adhere all his policy. I don't agree, but I think it was really great to ruler, and it changed a lot in the Roman Empire, and not only the bad things. There were some good things as well. In fact, it is rather quite controversial and difficult, even more difficult than recreate ancient Rome. Here you can see the perspective of the Arcus of Claudius. This Palatine branch which supplied the Palatine palaces, baths, and nympheums there. In front of them you can see the temple of Fortune Recipientes. Okay, what we have. So I have shown this temple of Claudius. At the perspective, just notice we can see the temple of Venus and Rome. I think it was a pleasant view for ancient Romans from there. It is also a very interesting thing to discover some interesting viewpoints in ancient Rome, which cannot be reached by nowadays tourists. Okay, so looks like I have shown almost any object requested. Just let me check the questions in the chat. If you have some additional demands, which object you like to see, I will do it. Maybe I have missed some question. Favorite forum. Of Patina. Do you know about whether or not statues would be repainted over time? Yes, I thinking about this question. I'm investigating this question. I think yes, but we haven't proofs of it for now. Logic says us that yes, because yes, some statues stood for centuries, and I think they indeed had to be repainted. But the question requires further investigation. About favorite emperors I have already answered. About purchasing the model I have answered. Have you ever changed your mind dramatically on how a building looked? Started one way, then changed it. Okay, let's now get moved to the building, which is example of this. And this is the Forum of Peace. I will fly towards it, is not to go again via the city. Let's move to towards the Forum of Peace. I think let's go to the Forum Romanum one more time. My favorite emperors Aurelian Diocletians. Yes, a really good choice, I agree. It is very difficult not to consider Aurelian as a great emperor, I think. It is really was 5 years and so achievements. I can adopt it. Trajan, of course, Trajan, but it is so he is so great that I even forgot to mention him because it is indeed it is the fact, it is the certain thing. Optimus Princeps. Colonna Ulpiatran is not far from your lucky man. You can go outside and walk on the streets of Eternal City every day. It is my dream as well. For now, I can just make this dream come true, just to walk around my 3D reconstruction. Heraclius, yes, good choice if we speaking about the Byzantine Empire as well, of course. Heraclius was very good, great defender, great fighter. It was really great achievement to save the empire, and of course it was what a tragic end of his rule when he could see then all his achievement will have been lost thanks to the new innovation. I'm reading the questions. Let's finish with the Temple of Peace, and I will read the questions again. I see you have some requests more. Let's go to the Temple of towards the Forum of Peace via the Forum of Nerva. Again, here, just to go down a little. There is the entering. Yes, new Severus Arch is ready, but if you could notice, there is still an old edition here, but the new edition of Arch of Septimus Severus is completed, and I will add it very soon. And this is the Temple of Peace, the gallery, the portico of it, which served for centuries as the exhibition hall. It hosted the famous sculptures, pictures, paintings, trophiums, and so on. I think we will have some luck here because the I have set the lots of reflections here for the marbles when I have done the renderings. Yes, the temple over there, where the forum, where the temple is Minerva, it is the forum of Nerva. We have passed through it recently. Yes, Nerva forum. So this is their construction is one of the most recent, is one of the most up-to-date, which can show you how ancient complex ancient ancient Roman forum and religious complex could actually look like. These marbles from the almost any part of the ancient worlds. This granite, these capitals, painted capitals, this brass, and so on and so on. These richly decorated ceilings with stucco reliefs and painted. The Egyptian granite, the serpentine, the Christian marble, the Hill marble, and many other. The porphyr. Let's take a look at the famous marble plan of Rome. It is here. Yes, it is not. It is old image. Yes, I haven't set up here. It is actually the image of the Carandini Atlas, which was one of the basement for it. And in the current edition of Forum, it is replaced with the decoration, the actual decoration of it. And this is how this marble map actually looked like, and now only about 15% of it survive. And now let's take a look to the Temple of Peace and the goddess itself. I don't remember it is an old edition or a new edition. Now we will check it. No, it is an old edition of the goddess, so it will not be very beautiful. Oh, I have passed through the column. Yes, it is not. I will not spend much time for it because it is an old edition, and in the renders you can see the better one. Maybe I will do some update and will show it in a better way. But I will return to the question. This is the example. This forum is example of the building which initially I have considered in one way, and then I have completely changed my mind about the appearance of this building. Let me go a little bit fly, and I will show here. If you know it and remember how the forum appears in Gismondi model, there is a different roof here. There is this two slope roof, and there is the four slope roof upstairs up here. So the appearance of this part were different. It actually consisted on two parts of roof, and it was traditionally Vision. It was supported by some famous architects, but recently the new investigation appeared. the author of this investigation is Pierre, if I hope I spelled correctly the name, Piero Luigi Tucci, and I when I saw his vision, firstly I was surprised a lot, but when firstly I could not agree with it, but I decided to try to model both editions, and then I will decide which edition is better. And then I have modeled the Tucci edition. It happened that any problem, any inconvenience, any misunderstanding of the parts of the connection of parts of the reconstructions are gone, and this edition explains almost any misunderstandings and any connections of, for example, of portico with the temple and etc. So it looks quite logical, quite convincing, and I have changed the appearance of the Forum of Peace a year ago, following this reconstruction, this vision by Pierluigi Tucci, and I think it was so far it is the most the most actual example when I had to rebuild the model not almost completely, but I had to rebuild the main part of the forum. Okay. Yes, the Scepter Julia was already, and you will be able to see it in the replay. Now, what I will check if any other requests appear. Forma Urbis, which we had it complete, of course. It is also my dream. I really hope that sometimes some new significant parts which could be identified could be found, but it is very rare happening. I think the last part of Forma Urbis has been discovered somewhat about 20 years ago. It was a part of Circus Flaminius at the Campus Martius. Yes, Atrium Vesta. It is not completed, but okay, it is the old edition, but okay, let's go there. Palatine was already. Basilica of Maxentius, there is an exterior, but the interior isn't added here so far. But will be added soon. Actually, there are some really ready parts which unfortunately is not added to this edition, and maybe it makes sense to add them and do one additional live stream with them as well. So we are at the Forum Romanum again. Thank you for your feedback. I hope I know something about Rome, but of course the amount of knowledge I have to investigate, I have to read, I have a big amount of books of Rome which I still have to read, still have to research. I hope I will have enough time in my life to do it. It is the Basilica Julia here, one of the most recent and up-to-date our models, almost completed. And this is the temple of Dioscuri, Castor and Pollux. Also the new edition. as I have already said, I have spent about 13 years in this project with some pauses, not continuously. But I think the most difficult buildings, the most up-to-date buildings I have done during the last 2 years. This time of COVID was the some time when I received the opportunity to concentrate on the Roman project. This is the Arch of Augustus, dedicated to the famous event when he succeeded to bring back to Rome the imperial standards from the Persians, which had been lost by the army of Marcus Licinius Crassus when he defeated under the Cara. And this is the Temple of Vesta, the old edition. You can see it is the old one. Let's try to enter the Atrium Vesta on your request. Yes, textures and custom pokes, Basilica Julia is relatively up to date. Thank you. But you can see that the level of detailing is not equal there. This, for example, this is the old model, and you can see the really low level of detailing here. This is the so-called Horea Vespasiani. It should be replaced with a new one, with the proper detailing and texturing. Here I will try to find some closer door to Atrium Vesta and pass through it. I think it is. That's it. Okay. Yes. And here we have even the messed up floor, as if it had been already in the medieval ages. If we go under, we even almost can see it. So this Atrium Vesta is this. Not very impressive for now. Old edition. Because, for example, looks like it was second level of colonnade here, but nevertheless it is. This is as which we have for now here. Okay, so it is the old edition of Temple of Vesta. I will now check the chat if you have any other requests. I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Was there any building in your model that you were unsure? Almost any building, as I already mentioned. I am not even sure in even in our reconstruction of Colosseum, and I think it is normal. If we start being completely assured in our 3D models, it will be beginning of the end of the quality of the project. I hope we will constantly adapting our the models, redesigning them, adding some details, changing according to new investigations, and so on and so on. I would be happy to be up to date with the all archaeological investigation I can find, and I can understand, and I can convert into 3D reconstruction. This is also one of the most up-to-date models. It is the Temple of Antonini and Faustina. It has been dedicated by Antoninus Pius to his wife, which has been dead in a relatively young age, to Faustina the Elder. And after the death of the emperor himself, the Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus have dedicated it to the Antoninus Pius as well. Okay, I will now again check the chart. Okay, looks like I don't see go in regular building. I can, but it is also old one. Okay, an old one. So we almost have nothing here. We have to rebuild it as well. So this the peristylium, this shrine, and that's it. Some standard columns. The background of Temple of Divus Julius. Have you done anything in the area of testaccium, emporium, and pyramid? Almost nothing, but I think the pyramid is there. We will now check it. I definitely edited, but I don't know whether it is here. We will check. Is there any up-to-date research you would recommend? Work on this. In fact, the most complete research for now, not ideal, but really good. It is the Atlas of Carandini. It is some sort of compilation, but I can recommend it as some ideal book. There isn't any ideal and up-to-date research for the whole city. But as for basement, it is okay, and maybe the topographical Dictionary of Rome by Richardson is a good thing, and it is some kind of foundation from basement, and even the Carandini Atlas is now a little bit outdated in some places because it has been released about 10 years ago. For example, it consists no longer actual hypothesis about the two temples at the Temple of Serapis complex. Now this vision has been abandoned, and the design of the Temple of Serapis has been the vision has been changed. There are some new papers of it. Another problem, it is the problem of Temple of Divine Trajan and Portina. The Atlas of Carandini reconstructs is as a Heka-style, 6 columns on facade and relatively small. Currently I am enjoying this vision, but there are other strong hypotheses. One, for example, that it was really bigger temple, and another rather popular hypothesis that the Temple of Divine Trajan didn't existed at all, and there were just a sacred area, templum, in Latin, not the temple, and the center of the sacred area was the column of Trajan itself. Okay, let's solve the pyramid. Let's fly to it. I don't want to walk there. It is very, very far. Yes, there is but it is also the first edition. Yes. That's it. That's Aurelian walls. Yes, it is not finished. Just kind of the simple objects for the background. So you can see this Sestios pyramid. The Portaus Ostiensis. And the temples at the background. Could you go to Caesar temple? Do you mean the temple of divine Caesar? Yes, of course I can show it, but we haven't interior for it. Let's return to the Foro Romano. This is the temple of Caesar. Yes. That's it. This is the temple of Divus Julius, of divine Caesar, at the place where his body has been burnt. Okay, so I think we are moving to the finish of this stream. If you have some additional requests, please let me know, and if it is all at the moment, I will finish this stream. I think yes, 2 hours already about the shutdown. So in total it is about 4.5 hours. I even didn't imagine that I can speak in my bad English so long time. I hope it was interesting for you. Any interiors done on Palatine yet? If you haven't seen the previous part, please check. We have walked around the old editions of the Auregia and Triclinian Palatine, but I think, I'm afraid it will not inspire you at the moment. But soon we will do the new editions for them. They are in progress. Thank you. So what to show you at the end of it, if you don't have any special requirements. Actually, we have seen almost anything. Let's I think let's maybe end near the column of Trajan. Let's go to the top of column of Trajan, for example. Let's fly towards it. Sorry, I cannot climb to the column using the stairs inside. They have not been modeled yet, but indeed we can just go here and to imagine at one moment when we are ancient Romans and we are standing at the top of this column and we can see the panorama here. So the Basilica of Ulpia at the background with its gilded roof, the Quirinal hill with the dome of the Caldarium of the Hot Bus of the Bus of Constantine, the temple of Serapis or the Hercules and Bacchus with his substructures, the Domus of Valeria Asiatici at the gardens of Lucullus, the Mausoleum of Augustus, the column, actually there should be the column of Marcus Aurelius, but if you will review our video from the beginning, you will realize that actually it is not. For a moment, the Horologium Augusti. Here I said this controversial temple of divine Trajan, which maybe it existed, maybe not, but I am joining the hypothesis that it indeed existed. And we have a hot discussion about this in our groups and pages. The temple of divine Hadrian, the temple of Matidia, parts of the baths of Alexander Severus, Pantheon indeed, Basilica of Neptunus, Arch of Scepter Julia, Sanctuary of Isis, Bath of Agrippa, Theatre of Pompey, Theatre of Balbus, Divorum, Porticus Minutia Frumentaria, temples near the theater of Marcellus, temple of Apollo Sociano and Barona. We were there at the first part of the stream. The Capitoline Hill, and again the Basilica Ulpia. Okay, so I think we will finish with it. Let's finish with the main view, the general view of Rome. So you can see that enormous part of work has been done, but the rest is a really big amount of work as well. I think we will have the opportunity to do it. We have the desire, we have the will definitely, and I hope we will have the opportunity to do it. If you can and if you want, you can support our project in two ways. First, to watch our YouTube videos, to promote them, to make people know about our projects, to spread the information about this. And the second way, it is the support us on Patreon. In Patreon, I will share the content of two kinds of content. First, it is the work in progress in the game engine. I will share the information about this, the screenshots, the videos, and so on. Maybe even the live tour in the game engine itself. I will share some information about the game engine for free, of course, but the main part of it will be for Patreon subscribers. And the other kind of content which will appear in Patreon, as we all know, there are some restrictions of the content on YouTube and Facebook. For example, adult content, which we cannot show some nudity scenes, some violent scenes, but a relatively big amount of ancient sculptures, some reliefs are subjects of this so-called of these themes which YouTube and Facebook consider sensitive content. So we cannot share it without hiding, without blurring, but there we will, in the Patreon, we will share such content without any restrictions. So there will be two kinds of content on Patreon. And of course, you just, if you can support us there. Even $1 per month could make a sense. If we will have this opportunity, we will be able to concentrate on this project 100%, and we will not try to find some another work, of course. And of course, I will hope we will succeed in creating the game. And yes, we will have to sell it, but it will be a really honest price. I will not set some high price. I understand that our audience is not very wide. It is our audience is the people who like the history, of Rome, and we have to pay respect for this audience, of course. So, thank you all for being with us, nevertheless with all these problems with the network. My apologies for it. I think next time I will prepare it in a better way. Thank you for being here, for supporting the project, for your questions. I really didn't expect such amount of questions and such interest to our project. And certainly some new videos, not only live streams, will appear on our YouTube channel. First of all, I think it will be the detailed video about Arapatzis, altar of peace, and I think I will use narration there. I will speak, I will describe it, not only the text behind, because I have received many feedback that it is not sufficient for people to watch the video and just to read the text. They would like to have some speaker behind. I think I have to respect this, and I think I have to try to do it regardless my not very perfect English. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for being with me in this day. I wish you, first of all, I wish you the peace in this time. I wish you to be adequate. I wish you to be safe, and I wish you to best of luck, and we'll be in touch. Thank you all for being with us, and we will see again. Goodbye to you. Bye bye.